Blog Talk Radio.
I can't even believe how long it has been since I've been on the air. This is insane. You guys hear from me more in my magazine than you actually hear from me on the radio. And that's kind of sad, and that's my fault. Hi, everyone. I feel like it's been forever. It has been. I think it's been since August of 2019, if I look correctly. If you guys have been following me on social media, you know that I have been doing live interviews. You know that I've been doing the magazine. You know that I've been doing another film festival. Good Lord, I can't even keep up with all the stuff I'm doing. So let me start off by saying, first and foremost, although I know the world thinks based on my social media posts that I am desensitized to the current situation, which I am not. So first off, if you're listening in now, do know that I am certainly making a point of saying my prayers and doing due diligence and touching base with as many people as humanly possible. If you follow me, you, of course, know my personal beliefs, and they're quite simple. Most of us have adhered to what we feel is the right thing to do in terms of health and in terms of what we're being told is going on in the world. However, there's a practical side of things for myself, for my children, for the people that I love. So, like it or not, I stand on the side of those people that are ready and willing and able to open up the government, open up our states, open up our businesses, allow our children to go back to living like normal human beings, along with us having relationships and going out and doing healthy things like being out in public and riding our cars and taking day trips and doing everything that normal people do, not isolating in fear under the guise that something awful will happen. So if any of you are listening now and you are on the side of the fence where you're being persecuted, prosecuted, being pushed, prodded into believing something that you don't, you have a right to stand up for who you are and what you believe in. You have a right to be heard. You have a right to not be ridiculed or abused or insulted or any of the above. And if you are, tell them you know somebody who's in radio with quite a large following, because I don't take very kindly to that sort of behavior. So again, I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is staying safe and staying healthy. I hope that you are with your loved ones. If you are not, make it a point to do so. I hopped on a plane. I'm sure I'll do it again, along with taking a day trip to a couple people, and I would do that again as well. It's so very important nowadays to make sure that you have time to be with your loved ones. They need to be with other people. They need to know you're around. They need to know your presence in one form or another. Even if you have to ship them things, send them notes, send them emails, call and reach out to them, especially the elderly. I have very large concerns about those who are struggling with mental issues and domestic abuse situations, those who are having addiction issues, those who are close to overdosing. If you've never listened to my show and you've heard me now for the first time, even though I've never met you, know that someone, even though I am a stranger, actually cares whether you breathe today, tomorrow, next week, and next month. It's crucial that someone reminds you of that. So stay healthy and stay diligent. Obviously, of course, take care of yourself. We all are trying, I think, the best we can. And whatever you do, avoid that damn social media, because I'm here to tell you, I think we're up to, as of today, 75 people. I was at almost 4,800 friends, and now I'm minus 75. So my new take is kind of it is what it is. A couple quick updates, news relative stuff, meaning business relative stuff of mine. As you all might have heard, Michael and myself did the Bedford Falls Film Festival virtually. I have to say that despite the fact it was, full of a couple of not too major challenges, but challenges enough, we were able to pull it off. Filmmakers were happy. Everybody was happy. I am elated that we were able to do it. So a quick thank you to all the filmmakers, participants, attendants, my partner, everyone. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. In case you did not hear, my regular film festival, Art is Alive, is going on at the end of August in New York City. And yes, we're doing it live, even if I have to go to a drive-in or at what we call our proverbial home in Queens, the castle. One way or the other, we're doing it live, and it's happening at the end of August. As a courtesy to the filmmakers, because I know they're struggling just like everyone else, I've reduced the submission fee from $25 to $15 for the next month. I've also dropped down the fee for screenplays from $20 to $15, and youth films stay at $10. Anybody wants to submit, you can either go to the website, which is artisalive.filmfestival.weebly.com, or you can go to Film Freeway and type in Art is Alive Film Festival, and you can go ahead and submit. I've made the changes already. Relative to the Art is Alive magazine, I am taking pitches at present for Mother's Day gift guide ideas. I'm also taking pitches from any small business, any artisan, any musician, anyone who is being impacted and not getting any income, not getting any help from the government. You should reach out to me for an interview by myself or one of the people on my staff. My direct email is cin4251@gmail.com. It has been my staple and continues to be. You cannot, whether you're a publicist or a person, I will not do anything relative to the virus. I will not cover it. I will not talk about it. I find that we are giving too much, way too much attention to this. And when I say that, I mean negative attention to the point where it's encapsulating other people. So it needs to stop. And my magazine won't be part of that. So if you want to check it out, www.theartisalivemagazine.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Moreover, very excited to report, for those of you that have been watching Families of the Mafia, Jess Clare, who is part, of course, of the O'Toole family, her whole family will be on the front cover of my magazine. There'll also be a feature article and a tribute to her beloved ex-husband, Billy, who passed away very recently. So please, if you would, go ahead and support our efforts in that regard. I'm so humbled and honored that they asked me. And moreover, we're taking a percentage of the profits, donating it back to a New York City hospital that's in need of some help relative to, of course, all the overabundance of patients that they've been getting lately. So I think that's everything off the top of my head. Oh, yes, and don't forget to tune in tomorrow because I have another show, as a matter of fact. Amy Fess with a company called Choose That Fit. She's the CEO. She'll be on my show tomorrow, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. Now, I think you've probably gotten sick of listening to me, so without further ado, let's get Adri on the, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, Adri on the line and start talking. Hello, young lady.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. First of all, I have to stop and ask you. So, how do you pronounce your name? Because I don't want to get it wrong.
Yes, it is. No, that's totally okay. It's Adri Smith. It's Adriana is my full name, but I go by Adri, so it's spelled a little different.
Okay.
I just take off the A&A at the end. Yes.
Okay.
Thank
wonderful.
you for asking.
I just wanted to make sure that. Oh, no, because I don't want to go through this whole interview like Adri, because it looks like Adri, A-D-R-I. That's so
yeah,
cool,
I've known
though,
people
isn't
for
it?
years, and they still call me Adri, so I don't correct them. I'm
Cool.
just go with it.
Well, you sound like a Texan. That's a good thing because I'm so excited to get to Texas. My partner and I have been invited to a bed and breakfast to cover it to the magazine, and I'm super excited. So it's a great place to start off with. I know you're in Fort Worth, Texas. So
yes.
I think I've been to Texas. I want to say once in my life I've been to Dallas, Texas, and that's it. And so I know our new trip, we're going to be, I don't know what part of Texas, I can't remember. Please forgive me, Mae, for saying that.
Okay.
So tell us a bit about
Texas. It's a big
Texas.
state, so.
Yeah, the only thing I know is,
well, uh-huh.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go right ahead.
No, it's a great state. It's, you know, there's so many different parts, and we went on, we recently, you know, took a road trip, my family and I, and we went through East Texas, and we were able to go see the pretty pine trees. I mean, it totally changes from all over the state. We wanted to go to Big Bend here recently, which is a very different landscape, just, you know, desert. I've never been there, but I've heard it's gorgeous. And so there's something for everybody, I think. So, but I'm in Fort Worth, and it's near Dallas, and it's, you know, city and, you know, just pretty average, but there are different places to see, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I watched The Real Housewives, and so, of course, I'm like, okay, because I interview those gals sometimes, and I was watching it, and I'm like, I'm only getting glimpses here and there. But everybody looks lovely, and you all have that beautiful accent. I spend a lot of time in New York, and the New Yorkers sound so very different than you do. So it's so cute to listen to you talk, because you just sound so different.
Yeah, I know. I've tried to, like, get rid of my accent, but I can't. It's just, I've born here, raised here, so it's very hard. But so yeah, I've tried to, like, straighten it out when I'm talking, but it is what it is. So I've just got to accept it.
I know, I understand completely, and you sound just fine, and that's perfectly fine because honestly, one of the coolest things that I've found about Texas is people are just so very generous with their time, generous with their households, generous with their creativity. At least that's the sense that I got. I know I'm not there yet, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Would you say that, what brought you to Texas? Were you born and raised there, or did you move there?
Yes, I have been born and raised here in Fort Worth, and Fort Worth has grown tremendously since I was a child. I did go to near Austin for college in San Marcos, which was a really beautiful area. There's rivers everywhere, and we'd go river rafting and canoeing on the weekends, and that was a lot of fun. But everybody is super friendly in Texas. We say hi, how are you? I remember I was actually freelancing one time for a floral event, and the main florist who was it was her event. She had a bunch of freelancers come in from all over the country to help her, and one of the girls was from New York, and we all went to a Starbucks one morning, and this was in Texas, like South Texas, for the wedding, and we walked in, and everyone was like, good morning, like the barista was, said, good morning, how are you? And the New Yorker was just like flabbergasted. She was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're so friendly. Like in New York, they seem so angry and frustrated, and nobody's happy in the Starbucks. So I was like, oh my God. It was so funny.
So
she was
true.
completely shocked.
Well, I imagine it's a change. It really is a change of pace, and I know it took me a long time to get used to the New York, crowd. My partner's in New York City, and well before I met him, I was going there, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm from the Midwest. I'm a Wisconsinite, and they just look at me. At first, they weren't looking at me at all. Like you go to New York, and they walk right past you. They almost run you over with their taxi cab. They're crazy nuts, but they're the most lovable people once you get to know them. Then they'll take the shirt off your back, but I took I think a year before I was actually comfortable, and now I love it, and I'm moving there. So,
oh, that's so exciting! Yeah, I think it's just a different pace of life for sure.
Absolutely. So I know that we have all these different things to talk about. So I'm going to bounce around a little bit. I typically tend on the show to talk about not just the business side of things, but you as a person, because we all started from somewhere. I know that from little on you've had an appreciation for flowers and the beauty that comes with it, along with all of the things you can gift other people by utilizing flowers. So tell me a bit about when you were a child. I'm kind of envisioning you're running through the house, and your mom must have either been a huge gardener, or you read magazine upon magazine. How did you love and adoration as time went along from childhood on?
Oh, yeah, I appreciate the question. It was, so we just lived in a modest house, standard size backyard, and but my mom loved to garden. Like she especially spring flowers. So she it didn't matter what the space was like in the backyard. She made it completely beautiful. There, like I said, it was a small backyard, but she filled it like she had a little path down the center, and there were flowers, growing on each side. These beautiful, tall, like larkspur and irises, and they all were so beautiful. And she even, had these climbing roses over the gate. So it was this big, beautiful rose bush that you would walk under. And so I just remember, I was so excited for the springtime because I would be able to go and smell the irises and the hyacinths that would bloom, and they have a beautiful fragrance. So that's my earliest memory, is just, going in the garden, see what she was growing. And it's just like a little forest. And so it was just, and she always would teach me. We'd go on walks, and she'd show me each tree, and this tree is this, and this tree is that, and this is the leaves that it has. So she's such a naturalist, and she just instilled a love of nature in me early on. So I was really lucky to have her do that.
Oh, very, very nice. I know this might sound a bit cliche-ish, but I'm all about the whole awe factor on this show to some extent. So can you remember the very first time you got flowers, and what were they, and who were they from?
The first time I received flowers?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so good thing my husband's not listening right now, but it was from, the first ones that I remember were from a high school boyfriend, and he was my first kind of, real boyfriend, and he got me this beautiful arrangement that had birds of paradise in it, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that flower, but it's a tropical flower, and it's orange. And it's just very, it's just got such a beautiful shape. And I just fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I'd never seen it before. And I was just taken aback. So that's so funny that you asked that, because I've not thought about that in years. But it was just such a sweet gift, and it was a very thoughtful arrangement, and I just like swooned over those flowers. So yeah, I don't get flowers anymore. I don't since I'm that's my job. We're surrounded by them so much. It's like if he's gotten me an arrangement before, and I just judged it and like looked at all the like kind of criticized it because it wasn't up to my stand. So I don't know. But it's still sweet to we're around flowers all the time. So but it would be nice to get an arrangement here sometime, but it's just, it's part of our lives now. We always have flowers in the house, so.
Oh, no, I hear you. As a matter of fact, I tend to, lately I've come to more of an appreciation, as I'm sure most have, or sometimes I'll just be in the store and just get yourself flowers. People are so amazed sometimes about how it makes you feel better just to go ahead and, it brightens up the house, it brightens your overall mood. I won't lie to you. I mean, I'm very lucky that my partner shows me in all sorts of different ways, and he doesn't buy flowers very often, so when he does, it means something. So I think it's, if you're listening right now, folks, it means something. Even if you don't buy them all the time, we appreciate them when you do buy them, and we pay attention when you buy them. And so tell them I said, yes, go out and get her something in the next month because she needs a little pick-me-up. We all need a little pick-me-up, boys, girls, you name it. Am I wrong? I mean, I assume.
Oh, I know. It's the thought that counts, and it's just the effort put into it. That's so sweet, and they're usually so sweet when they give them to you, and so it is really the thought that counts, and it does mean something, that's for sure. So.
Oh, you betcha. Absolutely. Well, now, when you first started out, obviously, of course, when we look at the idea of doing floral design, I guess the first thing we think about is formalized education. It seems kind of odd to some of us because, most of us, like I went to school for journalism and now here I am. You know what I'm saying? So what exactly does that mean to be educated in terms of learning how to do floral design? Do you know what I mean? Because, I assume that there's a science tree to it, or is there?
Yes, there is. And that's a great question because it's really shifted with the emergence of Instagram and, online learning. And I feel like a lot of florists now are really self-taught. And I'm really pretty much self-taught too, but kind of, I hate saying this, but like back in the day, like, in the 90s and stuff when I know that a lot of florists had to be trained through it's called AIFD training, and it's very, very difficult to get your certificate from what I've heard. Like you have to take classes, and you've got to do this arrangement in front of I don't know if they're judges, but a panel, and they really grade you on your your composition, your lines, your color, and so I know like when I very first started, that was what you needed to do. But then, I kind of came on right at the emergence of Instagram, maybe a little bit before then. And so, people started just making their own arrangements and posting them, and then that just got a lot of traction. And so I feel like now, a lot of people are more self-taught. I took a class we have at Texas A&M, and in Texas, they have a floristry program, and so I took a couple classes there, and I took a class with Teleflora in Oklahoma City, and so they really helped teach me like the foundations, just conditioning flowers, just basic kind of like composition and for design. So that was really helpful, but there is a program, there's like a state program, a national program, but I think nowadays just with, you can post a bunch of pictures on Instagram and people will hire you to do their wedding. So there's, perks and minuses to it. And so you've got to, pros and cons both ways for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Was there ever a point where, outside of traditional education, let's say, for instance, where you interned with somebody or spent some time shadowing people at various places or even nurseries or others? I know it might sound strange, but that's the first thing I thought of was parks, nurseries, going to these places where you have maybe some more of the avant-garde sort of greenery and shadowing someone to try to learn how to do this.
Yes, that's where I learned the most, for sure. I didn't intern for anybody, but I did start freelancing for different florists, and I learned so much. So if they had a big wedding coming up, they would, put a email out or something like that saying, hey, we need some freelancers. Are you available? And I was like, I jumped on it. I wanted to learn as much as I could. So I would go and just do whatever they needed you to do, whether it's just fill buckets and, clean up after them on the weddings. Because, of course, was just starting, so I wasn't doing the big design jobs. I was pretty much just watching everyone around me and seeing what they were doing. And it taught me so much, like even just, your timeline for the week. When you have an event on Saturday, you get your flowers in on Wednesday, your design days, how much time it takes to design. You get to watch these amazing designers design and see what they do. And so I learned so much when I was freelancing. And I think even doing an internship, there's florists I really admire now, and I'd even say, like, I'd love to just shadow you for a weekend and, just let me learn from you, because there's so much to learn with color, with photographing, with events. It's just so much knowledge that can be absorbed during that time. So for sure.
Absolutely. Was there ever a point in time, so for instance, you're going along this journey, obviously, and discovering all these sorts of different things. Again, these might sound like weird questions, but I'm like, with what you do, I don't think it is. Like, for instance, have you ever had issues with things like allergic reactions, or sometimes having more hypersensitive reactions? Some people cannot tolerate certain floral anything, so to speak. So that's another thing that kind of conked me on the head was, is there a danger involved? And if people want to get into this, do they have to think about those sorts of things, or is that really not as relevant as one might think?
Well, usually most of the time people, like I had a potential bride I was chatting with, and she said, well, before we got rolling on getting her an estimate, she was like, well, I am allergic to flowers, so I need some flowers that are, don't have a lot of pollen or fragrance, and that kind of, took me aback, but I was glad she told me. So most people usually know, if they have an allergy, and they'll tell you. I do have a funny story, though. One time we were doing a photo shoot in Iceland, and we were in this little house out in the middle of, it was like the countryside of Iceland. And I had to make some arrangements for the photo shoot. And so I was going to go forage, which means pretty much just cutting down like little grasses or plants or flowers, like just out in the field for my arrangements. And so we went, there was this real deep ravine, and it had just these really pretty long grasses and some little wildflowers. So I went down there and I was cutting them, and I brought them back inside the house, and we were staying with, the photographer and the stylist for the photo shoot and her husband. And it was, a small house, but I put the flowers in this vase with water in the kitchen by the sink. And the next morning, the husband came to make his coffee, and he just started rubbing his eyes, and over the course of a couple hours, like his eyes swelled up so bad. He couldn't see. He was like just tears coming down his eyes, and we figured out that it was just some of the pollen from the grass. So he couldn't even be in the house. He had to go outside, and it took him all day to get his eyes cleared up. And we just, got rid of the plant. So, it was just, so it didn't affect anybody else, but it was just crazy how, wow, we had no idea that was the last thing on our mind, but that was going to happen. So you do have to be careful, like, you never know, especially if you're coming in contact with a plant you haven't, seen before. But usually a bride will know, if she's allergic to something, and she's, I've been lucky enough where they'll tell me beforehand. So.
Sure. Now, I'm curious because, of course, floral design opens you up to a million different businesses and people to work with, of course. So when you started looking at what to specialize in, meaning what specific areas, what sort of people and places to work with, how did you narrow that down to something that would make you happy, with it you would be pleased doing day in and day out?
Honestly, it was just, I learned as I went. I jumped right in. I was teaching full time, and I just gotten married, and I fell in love with my florist. I fell in love with what she was doing, with the whole process of walking through our planning out the wedding flowers. And so I just wanted to start my business. So I jumped in, I didn't really know. I just wanted to book some weddings. I didn't know any, who I was supposed to be looking for. I didn't know what vendors I should have been. I didn't know anything about the industry at all. And so I was just trying to get jobs. And so that was something that I learned probably a couple years in, maybe 2 or 3 years in. Oh, this is the style I like. Oh, this is the kind of client I want to attract. These are the vendors. I like their style. So that just was on the job learning. But when I started, I had no idea. I just knew I wanted to do somebody's wedding so I can get some pictures and put them out and make a website. So it was very much, on the job learning for sure.
Oh, I bet, without a doubt. The other thing, too, is I'm curious, when you first started, you're younger, I presume, and I'm not trying to date you at all whatsoever. So I always find it fascinating that people find something that's good for their soul, that they become so successful at without being me, old at 50. Just kidding. But no, seriously. Sometimes it really does take a tremendous amount of time and patience and energy and persistence, but you seem to have mastered this relatively quickly and found your niche and done some amazingly neat things. So I have to ask, in your particular line of work, because not everyone does this, so that makes it even more unique. What do you think right off the bat was the one skill that you brought that gave you success early on?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
I think honestly it was just being friendly and wanting to learn and being gracious, because I didn't bring any art skill. I was a teacher. I had zero art background. That was something that took a long time to, get a handle on. And I still feel like I'm, always been trying to do better with my design. But and it wasn't my knowledge, because I didn't know anything. I was faking it till I made it. I mean, that's for sure.
Sure.
So honestly, I just feel like it was, just trying to just ask questions. Send out that random email to somebody who's never heard from me and say, hey, I'd love to grab coffee. I want to get to know you and potentially work with you. Just not taking no for an answer. I was 28 when I started. I was just newly married. I was a teacher. I had a salary. I had, health insurance. My parents were like, no, you do not need to do this. You need to keep teaching. Like, you have got a secure job. And I mean, and so I just would not take no for an answer. I just kept doing it and going for it. So I think just having that, just go getter attitude and just, knowing what I wanted and going after it. I feel like that's honestly what helped me. And so, so I feel like, if anyone's out there and they're like, where do I start? How do I start? I don't know, how to get this going. If you just keep going and putting the work out there, you're going to get something in return for sure.
Oh, you betcha. And there are a lot of people that may not appreciate this statement, but I know, I'm a big fan of tattoos. And I know that most people don't think that tattooing is actually art, but it is art, just like floral arrangements. Obviously, they're flowers, so we take for granted, of course. But I think in some ways how you position them and put them together really is artistic in nature. In fact, it is, again, something that not everybody can sculpt and put together something so beautiful. Do you think people need to have some, again, formalized experience with art to be able to do this? Or can you just kind of wing your way through, so to speak?
Well, I would say, that you do need formalized art training, but I can't say that because that's not how I learned. So I have to say, you don't need the training. I mean, I honestly don't know. I mean, my mom was an artist. She like draws. She has beautiful sketches. My dad's not, but I mean, it's not, I had no knowledge of it. And and so I feel like you can teach yourself, especially now there's so much stuff on the internet. You can study paintings. Right now I'm really working on, photographing my flowers. And so I'm kind of getting into the world of photography with that. And so it's just learning, there's so much to learn. And it's like I'm trying to learn how to balance light and create shadows on the flowers. And like, I feel I have no experience with, so it's going to take a lot of time and studying and learning. So I feel like anyone can do it. It's just how much you want to is kind of what I'm thinking.
Oh, you betcha. And on the flip side of the fence, most people don't know this, but I didn't realize until I started researching you that you actually grew your own flowers. I'm going to try to pronounce these. I saw that you had attempted and actually planted Fritillaria and Ranunculus. Oh, my God, I am so sabotaging those.
Yeah.
So I had to ask. I was
names.
like,
yeah.
So tell me, how did it turn out? Because I know what it's like to plant stuff, and you're like, oh, my God, I hope it works.
Yeah, so luckily I have my mom to help me with that, and she taught me a lot about growing. But we did do ranunculus this year for the first time, and they were amazing. They were so easy to grow. We had so many blooms, so many colors, and so I'm definitely going to be doing that next year. I do grow irises. Those are super easy to grow. They're beautiful. I'm starting to kind of play, especially now since we have a little bit more time on our hands. I'm planting some different flowers. So it's pretty. Gardening seems a little bit more natural to me, but it's a lot of fun. I think it's great. I don't know if I could be a farmer for us because of just the weather, especially in Texas. It's so unpredictable. Sure. And it might freeze over one night and I completely not think about covering the flowers. So I just don't know if I could, make that work, but it's a lot of fun. It's so great to, wait, see the little sprouts perk up and, watch it evolve and bloom. So it's a lot of fun. I love gardening.
Very, very cool. And I also noticed that very recently you actually put pressed flowers onto these eggs. Now, I'm guessing these were hard-boiled eggs, and you put these pressed flowers on. So I have to ask you, what made you want to try something like that? And have you tried, the flower thing on other sorts of things? Because I'm sure people listening in want to try stuff at home since we're all kind of stuck at home right now.
Yeah, so we did do an Easter egg natural dye experiment this year, and I did press some flowers to put on them, and it was not hard at all. We used pansies, which I think are beautifully, like, they press. We are going to do something right now. We've set aside some flowers to press, and we're going to arrange them in this like pretty acrylic like sheet so that they could be an art piece on the wall. So that's a project that we're working on right now. We're going to toy with it to see if it's something that we could potentially sell on our website. So I feel like there's, different, especially if you have kids, it's something really sweet you can do with your children. And, and you can make bookmarks. I remember making bookmarks as a child with pressed flowers. So, I just think it's kind of like a nostalgic activity. But yeah, we're going to try to see if we can use some different pressed blooms with different color palettes to make some wall art and see how that goes. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted.
Very, very cool. I like that. That's awesome. Now, again, on the personal side of things, clearly you mentioned you have a husband, and I know that you have children. So tell us a bit about the side of Adri that is not doing floral design, which means she's a mom at home, she's a wife at home. Tell us a bit about them, and then moreover, are the children following in your footsteps? And when do you find time to not be doing this? Because it looks like you're on the clock 24/7 here.
Yes, so I do. I have two girls. Lila is 8, and I have Elena is 15. So I've entered the teenager phase, and that's a very interesting journey. But Paul, my husband, he travels a lot for work, and so it's usually just me and the girls most of the time. So I pretty much am either working or I'm being mom. So I don't really, it's pretty sad, but I don't really do much outside of that. I love my job, so I'm yeah, I love my job, so I'm happy to work. We do a little bit of, exercise. We'll go on bicycle rides and stuff like that. We do love to travel. So we try to get out whenever we can. So, it's a lot of, it's a lot of fun just being a mom with the girls. Right now they're being homeschooled, so that's interesting. And it's pretty much a balancing act between school and and work. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's pretty much my life right now. I'm pretty much in the throes of parenting and and work. So but I just keep telling myself when they get older, I'll be able to kind of go out and have more of a social life. So
absolutely. She talks about not having a social life. Here's a hint, folks. She went to Tuscany. I'm 50. I'm still waiting. I finally found him, and I still haven't got there. And now a virus happened, and we're still not there. But she doesn't have a life. So I have to ask because I have yet to get there with him. He is Italian, so the hope is, of course, that I get him on a plane sooner than later. But we have a Harley coming, so I'm guessing the Italy thing is going to be 2021, but I don't know. We'll see. But I have to ask because to me that's the most beautiful romantic place in the world. So what was it like to not only travel there but to learn there? Because obviously, right, you went there to not only learn, and did you also teach there, correct?
Yes, I got to teach a workshop in Tuscany. It was a total dream. I pinched myself, and I couldn't believe I was there. And honestly, I didn't think I would like we went to France with me and the girls and my husband a couple months before that, and I thought I would love France so much better, and I never really had a big desire to go to Italy for some reason. But we went, and I just fell in love. I want to move there. I'm begging my husband to move there. We got to go on a flower farm, Puccina Flower Farm. They have just the most beautiful farm in the rolling hills of Tuscany, and we got to pick flowers, and I taught a lesson there, and then they hosted us for an amazing lunch that afternoon. It was divine. So I highly recommend there. You get there as fast as possible. I know it's so hard right now with travel, but right. I'm bent on moving there. I've told my husband, I don't care what you do. You travel. You got to do your thing. I'm taking the girls and we're going. So
right. Thank you very much. See, I say that. See, Michael, if you're listening now or listening later, we need to go. I say this to him all the time, but I'm trying to practice. I send, I'll say things in Italian, and I try to look up things as much as possible, just because I want to, kind of get with the feel of things, of course. And I'm like, okay. I'm curious to ask, because I know you made friends there, of course. Have you spoken to them or any new updates on how things are? I haven't been watching Italy recently, to be honest. So have you heard anything and how they're doing lately?
Yes, I did email the host who hosted us and just checked in on her to see if she was okay. And she said, because they had a wonderful staff. I mean, the staff was just so sweet and helpful and the sweetest they could be. And so she said they were okay. She said, it's just more of a mental thing right now with, having to stay inside and, and just having to be mentally strong against everything. But I emailed her back in early or late March, so I would like to check back in with her. But so far they're doing okay. So that's a great, it's so, scary. And I heard that, a lot of the disease really impacted, the older people who knew all these wonderful trades, like all the, the family recipes that had been passed down for years and years. And there was a coppersmith who made these beautiful copper kitchenware sets that I wanted to purchase. And, he had done it since he was a child and he was in his 90s. And so it's just people like that know all those, those old trades and skills and, that I heard that were affected. And so I'm just, hoping that country is able to recover here quickly because it's such a beautiful place. So, and I highly recommend going in September because that's when we went and all the grapes were turning and it was so beautiful. The grapes were out, the sunflowers. I mean, it was so lovely. So if you get to go, I would definitely go in September if you can.
Look at that. Well, we'll see. Like I said, usually it comes down to a matter of it took a long enough time to be like, yeah, you know what, I think it's time to get the motorcycle, and those aren't cheap, obviously. So it's kind of like you got to kind of pick and choose your battles as far as that goes. We have to kind of see how, us self-employed people are going back to work little by little, and we're like, we might be living on that motorcycle as our entertainment here. So it's kind of like, we'll see how it goes, but no, we have every intention of getting there because it's my dream. I mean, I have a bucket list. The number one thing on there is actually to go to. Well, it says to go to Italy with him. So I think I found that proverbial him. So I guess I get to go. I know, right? Okay, I got to stop talking about him. He'd be like, yeah, no, okay, the show's not about me. Moving along here. So a bunch of things that I want to ask about the business itself, of course. And folks, if you're just listening in now, of course, we are speaking with Adri Smith of Moss Floral Design out of Fort Worth, Texas, of course. Now, I know that you opened up in 2012, which means you've been in business for about 8 years. I want to ask particular things about the business, meaning first off, I think it's so cool that we were just talking about Mother's Day and me looking for ideas from all sorts of people about things to get them. I know that you're working on a Mother's Day floral arrangement. What's neat is you actually worked with this ceramicist, actually, who made the vase that comes along with the arrangement, Kendall Davis Clay, as a matter of fact. Tell us a bit about Kendall and how you started working with her.
Yeah, so Kendall is amazing. She opened up a little shop on this really fun street in Fort Worth that has a lot of artistic shops and great restaurants. And so I, drove by it one day and I was like, oh my gosh, look, there's a ceramicist, because I love finding unique vessels and candle holders for my clients. And so I found her on Instagram and fell in love with her stuff. And I went by there one day to see if she could make me some bowls for a wedding I had coming up. And she was so sweet, and she was happy to do it, and she asked me how I wanted them to look and everything, and I gave her some ideas, and she just made some gorgeous bowls for me. So I've asked her, throughout, I think I've known her for maybe a couple years now, and I've asked her just throughout the years, just, can you help me with this, or I'd like these candle holders, and she's been more than happy to make those. And so she has some beautiful things in her shop, and she's just, trying to work away. I think she's doing, curbside delivery right now, and I'm not sure if she ships or not. That would be something to find out. But she's great. She makes beautiful vessels, lots of bowls, lots of kitchen utensils, candle holders. She has the most amazing candles in her shop. So, and I like to give those out as gifts at Christmas time. So she's great. I'm so excited to get to work with her in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's just so sweet. That's lovely. And I love the fact that you're working with another artist, because people do not ever, it's pretty rare that I find in the industry, usually when a woman is owning a business, a particular business, that, they're a one-woman show, so to speak, and they're utilizing all of their different things. I love it when business owners bring in another artisan or two, et cetera, and especially when you're combining something like this to make a beautiful piece for moms, because as we all know, you can't appreciate your mom enough. Could you describe to the folks, since you're on the radio, what goes in the combination that puts together this Mother's Day arrangement? What is in there, or is it personalized per each mother?
Yes, so we have 3 different options. There's a petite vessel, there's a skinny vessel, and then there's also a beautiful footed compote, which is kind of, a footed vase that's a little bit wider. And I use those a lot in my wedding work. But we are going to use seasonal flowers right now, since the markets are kind of crazy. I have a couple of different sources where I'll get my flowers, and a lot of them are actually U.S. grown, so we're able to support those flower farmers as well. But they're going to be mixed colors, and so I just like trying to find the most beautiful flowers in different colors for the arrangements. So they'll all be different. There's not like one, there's not going to be one design, fixed for every different, skinny vase is not going to get the same design. For example, we're going to use, mixed design, artistically done, organic, very, lots of different unique greens in there, some pretty seasonal vines. So, and then after that, you get to keep this amazing vase. So I think it's going to be a great deal, something unique, personal, carefully put together. So I'm excited for people to be able to purchase these items.
You betcha. Now, just asking for the audience itself. So if you're not located in Texas, do you ship to all the 50 states, or is this inclusive to your states? I wasn't 100% clear on that.
Yes, so this is just local. This is we do deliver, and we will do like curbside delivery or curbside pickup, but unfortunately right now it's just local. I think Kendall, she might ship her stuff, so if you want to at least get a vase, you can look on her website. But yeah, we do weddings outside of Dallas-Fort Worth, so we'll go wherever. So, but yes, for the Mother's Day, it's just going to be local.
Gotcha. Now, your designs have been referred to as natural and organic and lush. It's very clear to me No one needed to tell me the attention to color and composition that you put in here. Questions about actual creation. Number one, when you were putting together an arrangement of any kind, how do you put the order of necessity, meaning colors most important, size, natural, organic ingredients? How does that all, what's the hierarchy involved with putting these together from that perspective?
Yeah, so so there's definitely a process that goes into it. With the color palette, I usually, I always want to make sure I get the client's color palette right for what they're envisioning, and working with them and making sure I'm communicating with them and their wedding planner to make sure everything's cohesive and it's what their vision is. That's always number one, is making sure we get their color correct. Our designs are pretty organic just naturally, so if they want like more of a rounded kind of structured look, we can do that, but that's not really our specialty. So if they're coming to me, they usually want that organic look, because that's what I really like to do. And so whenever I'm ordering flowers, the process usually entails, like, I want 3 different types of flowers. I want kind of what I call a filler flower. So it's a flower that's not necessarily going to be seen in the arrangement. It's more just to kind of fill up space and kind of be like the foundation for the other flowers to lay against. And then we'll get the focal flowers, and those are going to be like the really pretty premium flowers, like your peonies or your garden roses, or like your just like really pretty big ranunculus, just those really pretty, showstopper flowers. And then I like to use what I call the floater flowers. And those are the flowers that are very like light and dainty and floaty, and they have really delicate stems. And they're used more for the movement, and they give the arrangement movement and just a soft romantic look. And so whenever I'm ordering for a wedding, let's say, I make sure I have a pretty equal amount of like my filler flowers, my focal flowers, and then my floating flowers, so that way each design, whether it be the bouquet or the arrangement, will have a good balance of those types of flowers, because you need all of them to really, have a pretty cohesive arrangement. So that's kind of the process I take whenever I'm designing and ordering for a wedding, and it seems to work really well.
Oh, you betcha. Well, the one thing that I'm thinking about, because clearly we're all in a scenario where right now we're confined, and one of the people that I think the most about are our elderly individuals, people that are going to visit their families, or in some cases can't even go to see their parents and their loved ones. Is this something that you would do? Meaning, if a Texas family comes to you and says, hey, I can't go see my mom, or I can't go see my loved one, put together a bouquet for them, or put something beautiful together for their home or assisted living facility? Because I know you specialize in weddings and events, but would you go outside of your own realm so as to provide comfort for the people with the situation going on right now?
Yeah, we definitely will do small orders like that. I know the first week that all of this kind of went down, we had a wedding coming up that Saturday, and we had already received all of the bride's flowers. We got them in on Monday, and I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday came around, and like they had to cancel their wedding and postpone it. Mm-hmm. So we had all of these beautiful flowers, and I just asked her, I said, what do you want me to do with these? I want to put them to use for you. And so she wanted us to donate them, make some arrangements and donate them to some facilities that, were special to her, like a memory care facility and a women's shelter. So we were able to do that and take those flowers up there. And, of course, with the proper precautions and everything, and making sure the vase is sanitized. And a lot of times right now I'm doing like what we will be doing is like a doorstep, a curbside delivery. So we just drop it and ring the doorbell. That way there's not any, human-to-human interaction. But yeah, we definitely, and it just makes us feel good when we're able to do that for somebody. So, whatever we can to help, with our business during this time, we're more than happy to do that.
Oh, it's lovely. Absolutely lovely. One of the cool things that I saw that you've done in the past are, of course, workshops. I know you did, and you do offer a full-day floral workshop, your floral Tuscany workshop. I even see that you did the Mommy and Me workshop. I didn't see that on your website, though. So is the Mommy and Me and other types of workshops, are you limiting it to those two when you can give them, or are you expanding on those, or what's the status on that?
Yeah, so I usually do 2 workshops a year, a spring and a fall. And it just depends on what we can make happen. So it definitely varies. I do offer a one-on-one mentorship, and that is offered. That's on the website. It's offered throughout the year, and it's a great time for if you're an aspiring florist. And this is how I learned best. Actually, I took a couple one-on-ones, and they were just life-changing for me. But you're able to meet with me for 8 hours. We'll design whatever you want to design. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about: business, design, social media, networking, etc. And breakfast and lunch is included, which is really important. Food's always great. So that's offered throughout the year. But the other specialty workshops, I'll just kind of add those as we're able to, and if I see an interest, then I'll put one in there. And so we've done a flower crown workshop. I had a workshop for a dentist. She wanted to host her and treat her office staff to an arrangement workshop. So we did that one time. So yeah, just keep looking periodically. And we are updating our newsletter right now since we have the time. So I'll be able to send out newsletters of upcoming workshops that people can join. And I'm actually toying with the idea of doing a Zoom, an online workshop where we ship the flowers to you and you're able to watch me and interact with me via Zoom, and we'll have the same flowers because I'll get the same amount, the same type of flowers, and then we can learn, teach you, via Zoom. So I'm excited about that. So just keep watching because I definitely am going to send some stuff out right now.
Very cool. You referred to the one-on-one mentorship, which I was going to ask about, which is when people come to you and they're looking to get mentored, are the people that you've taught or instructed or worked hand-in-hand with, what's the most difficult challenge you find for newbies or individuals who are first learning about how to create things like this? What do they struggle with the most, or what is one thing that maybe they could kind of teach themselves, so to speak, to get a heads up before they actually show up and work with you? Is that possible?
Yeah, so design, it's really, I feel like that is the most difficult part. And honestly, I've wanted, when I was learning and I wanted to do some online learning, but the best thing is hands-on learning where somebody can be there with you to show you and model for you how to place flowers, because that's the hardest part, honestly, I feel like, is design. So if you want to learn kind of color theory, I think that's really important. Just learning how to choose different color palettes and how to place flowers together in a certain color palette. I think that could be something that you could study before you come to the one-on-one. But there's so much to cover, and just getting the design time with some help and some mentorship is really beneficial. And so, in the business stuff, you can always Google, different business questions, and there's so much online learning for that as well. But I feel like if you're going to do a one-on-one with somebody, you really want to have that time with them to learn and fine-tune your design skills.
So I must ask you, because I'm a professional writer, and most people in any profession at some point say to themselves, I was so proud of this. This was my signature piece, or this was my, swan song in terms of, so far up to this point. Have you designed your absolute best, most beautiful bouquet, or is that still coming, do you think?
I hope it's still coming. That's something to look forward to. I have a few favorites, for sure. I have things I'm super proud of, where it be bouquets or wedding installations or designs just for myself. But I hope the best is yet to come. That's for sure. So I'm always trying to create something new and beautiful. So I'm hoping that there's more to come.
Absolutely. So I have to ask you, because I call myself tech stupid. Sometimes I call myself floral stupid, not because I don't know about every flower under the sun. I think every woman probably does know that at some point you can go to your partner and be like, gosh, I really love those, or gosh, I really hate those. So question for you. I have been a huge fan of lilacs for as long as I can remember. I live in the state of Wisconsin. It's a pain to get them. It's a pain to find them. I used to love hydrangeas. Finally got those. Couldn't grow them, but I bought them. So I'm like, okay. I saw lilacs the other day, and I was like, okay, if I wanted to make a beautiful combination of, let's say, lilacs and hydrangeas, and just give me a tip or give me something, because when I envision putting flowers together, it's me running to the store, grabbing like 4 bouquets and just trying to lump it together and make it work. So any tips for the technologically stupid, as I call myself often?
So, yeah, that's a really good question. So lilacs are amazing. I wish we grew them here. So one trick, though, with lilacs is since they have when you get them, since they have a really woody stem, they can wilt quickly. So what you'll want to do is cut them vertically up their stem. So you'll give them your sharp angle cut, but you also need to do a vertical cut so that they're allowed to drink as much water as possible, and that'll help them live longer. And then what I would do is I would just get, as many lilacs as you could, maybe 20 stems, and try to arrange them like maybe in like a pitcher or something like that by themselves, and try to make a beautiful shape, maybe an asymmetrical design where, since they're so bushy, and you could design, really work on just composition and work on making like a beautiful shape with your lilacs. Because, it seems like it's pretty simple and easy, but it's really not. Like even, one thing I see that, designers struggle with when they come to me and they want to learn something is proportion. And so getting your arrangement and your flowers at a proportional shape to the vessel. So you want to make sure that it's nice and even and it looks correct to the eye. So I would just try to get, just like 20 stems or so, as much as you could, and try to make just a really nice, pretty shape with them. And I feel like when you start adding in more things, you've got to, practice more different design skills. And so if you could just do just that one beautiful flower and a lot of it, it would have a pretty impact. So
nice. Very well put, as a matter of fact. See, I wish I would have talked to you like 2 days ago or yesterday. I was trying to put together this beautiful bouquet. So here I was trying to surprise my significant other, actually. And so I had given him this big ruse about my girlfriend stepping over to his house because he's in New York right now and I'm here. And so I wanted to send him something. What he didn't know is I had been hunting all over New York City trying to find a florist that would actually put together this unique bouquet because he's a guy. So I'm like, you don't want to buy him roses. I've bought him other flowers before, but these particular flowers I was looking for, I had to look all over the place. And I know he's going to listen in, so I can't say what they are. It would ruin it. But I got to tell you, I must have spent 2 hours looking for these people, and I'm like, they wanted like $120. These flowers were just not even that pretty, and I'm like, oh, my God. And then finally at the end of the day, he was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be home. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Like half a day looking for this whole bouquet. And I'm like, oh, my God. So note to self, just do the lilac thing that Audrey told me and bring them to New York yourself. Apparently. Oh, my God.
Yeah, you can
That's
never have
funny.
enough lilac. Just lilac is perfect enough. So
you betcha. Now, folks, if in case you have not been entranced by her engaging personality, let me just say this much. This young lady in 2017 was named Best Florist by the Fort Worth Magazine. She's been featured by Brides.com, and she was also featured in the Flower Magazine's fall issue. I took a look at it and peek at all of that, and that's a pretty cool thing. Anytime somebody is spotlighting you in a publication, anytime someone says you're the best of anything, it's significantly huge. So I guess my question to you is, what do you feel begets you the title of best? I know that's always hard for us to recognize and identify that, but what makes Moss Floral Design the best, let's say, in your eyes?
Well, I don't know. I feel like if we are making our clients happy, that puts us in a pretty good spot. I always want to make my brides happy. This all started because I had an amazing florist who listened to me, who was patient with me, and who really wanted to grasp my vision for my wedding. And so I want to give that same experience to my clients. And I feel like if I can do that, 100% of the time or as much as possible, then we're succeeding and we're doing our best. So being the best, I think that's totally subjective. Of course I want to be the best florist. That's always been my dream. But, you've got to sometimes, I think, give yourself some grace and feel, and just enjoy the small victories. And if we're doing great things for our clients and for the vendors we work with, then I think we're doing a pretty good job. So that's my 2 cents on the best.
My last question, because can you believe it's been almost an hour, and I know your publicist is, I know she's got plans, and I'm like, oh, my God, I can't go over because, sometimes I just keep talking. I'll tell you right now, I could talk all day long, and I know, doesn't it seem like, it was, 50 minutes or so, and it, went just like that. It tends to happen
that went
a lot
fast
on this show. Oh, my God. Well, let me just tell you, I was petrified because, I believe it or not, people think because I've done this almost 10 years, I don't get nervous. When I'm on camera, I'm oh, my God, it's petrifying. But you're my first show back in months, and I mean months. It's been 6 months since I've been on air. I've been running my new magazine, and so I never got back. And finally, frankly, I just got so sad. I was like, I need to go back. And so you were my first show. So number one, I hope I did okay. Number two.
Oh, well, no, you were amazing. You did not seem rusty at all, and I really appreciate you having me, and I got to be the first one, so I hope I did okay.
Oh, gosh, no. As a matter of fact, I have one more question for you, and then we'll go through all the ways to find you on social media, of course. And it's very sweet of you to say that. I think my honey is a professional actor. I think he's rubbed off on me. It's, I've learned how to put on that pretty face and, chin up and do all that good jazz. I guess I should ask you for the upcoming future, the next few months, et cetera, because clearly most of us may or may not be able to do appearances and events and things. Any other promotions outside of Mother's Day that you want to speak about? Anything big coming up that you want your listeners to know about?
Well, just keep, if you can, we're going to resend a newsletter out here soon within the next couple weeks. And so please get on that email list because we are finding new and creative ways to just adapt to this new way of living. So whether that be online classes, whether that be, buying a pressed flower art print, whether we start doing elopement packages, that's all to come very soon. So I want you to just, stay in tune with us. So get on our newsletter list, keep checking the website, follow us on Instagram. That's where I make all my announcements, and on Facebook. So just, keep in touch because we really want to, we're adapting, and we want to make sure that we can, still get our flowers out to people during this time. So for sure.
Very nice. Now, a couple quick things here. First of all, this episode will be archived in about 2 hours or so. I'll make sure to send a copy over to you so that you have it. You can repost it and send it out to everyone. So that's number one. Number two, I'll read off all the places I found you. You let me know if I missed anything. This lovely young lady is named Adri Smith. The name of her company is called Moss Floral Design. Her website is mossfloralfw.com. She is on Facebook under Moss Floral Design FW. So you can tell I'm a little tired today. Your Instagram is Moss Floral. You are on Pinterest, and that lovely young lady, the ceramicist, it's www.kendalldavisclay.com. Anywhere else where we can find you?
I believe that is it. We have Facebook. Did you get the Facebook one out? Let me see.
Yep.
Facebook,
okay,
Instagram, awesome. Then I think we're good to go. Yep, that's great.
Now,
thank you so much.
Of course, the very last thing we always do on my show is I get a chance to tell you what I think of you. And I do that more so because the listening audience, I got to research you. I'm a journalist. That's what I do. But this is just my own. This is the only part of my show that is not scripted. I write everything. I do not write this. So this is just a quick little note from me to you. Before I start, I do not want to forget Christina Hellman of the May Agency. Christina, without you, and her very lovely pitch to me, by the way, you, young lady, would not be on the show today. So, Christina, I can't thank you enough for your huge sense of professionalism and patience. She's a wonderful girl, by the way. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful job, and I'm thoroughly, thoroughly thrilled with that. So I can't thank her enough for all of her efforts, of course, and I wouldn't have got to be here without
she's
her.
amazing.
So thank you. Yes, she'll be listening in later, of course. So these are my impressions of Adri Smith. They're going to be very sweet and very simplistic. I'm in awe of anyone who is so very humble of the hard work that they do and the efforts in which they put in and pay off so successfully. One of the reasons why you stood out to me is because you are a female-owned business and you're someone who set yourself apart from the norm for 3 different reasons. I'm not sure if you looked at your own website recently, but I have, along with the other things that have been said about you from your customers and other clientele. What I can tell about you without even meeting you face-to-face is that you would open up your showroom and you would work 1,000 hours to make a bride happy, to make an event coordinator even happier. Most importantly, it's important to you to pacify your clients by using your pure passion. That's very evident. That's number 1. Number 2, some of the styles that I looked at, whether it was spring or fall or your winter collection, there's one profound theme that I see coming across. I love your usage of pastel colors more often than not. I know it may not seem that way to you. I know that sounds weird to say because it's your company. You may not notice it. But the pastel usage was impeccably obvious to me. I'm a big fan of pastels all the way around. So that always stood out to me. Pastels say something. They send a clear message, at least in my opinion. It could just be I've become a very big hippie artisan. But they say something, and they speak to the soul. And number 2, bravo to you on that, for being able to use so much pastels in all the different productions you put together. And number 3, and most importantly, you are very, very smart and very, very sensationally excited about every element of your business. I can't tell you how many thousands of people that I meet every day, and I see that very sad, very dejected, very disappointed look on their faces. And even though I'm not meeting you formally, can tell you is you just breathe and live floral life. And it's very refreshing to see that, especially today with everything that's going on. So I commend you. I commend you on your success. I commend you for giving me this amount of time. I hope that when Michael and I come to Texas and do our live event, we can pop in because I don't know how far away you are from the B&B. But I'd love to be able to meet you in person. And if you ever need anything again, come back and see me.
Thank you so much. That was very thoughtful, and it meant the world. Sure. And I was so great. It was so nice to talk with you today. And thank you again for having me on. And please don't hesitate to reach out when y'all come into Texas, so we can show you a good time. So
thank you, dear. All right, Audrey, I'll let you go. Take care of your kids. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, folks. That was Adri Smith, but it's not actually spelled like the traditional Audrey, which is Adri Smith, and that's of Moss Floral Design. Her website is mossfloralfw.com. On Facebook, it's Moss Floral Design FW. On Instagram, it's Moss Floral. And she's also on Pinterest, as well as www.kendalldavisclay.com. That happens to be the young lady who's doing she's a ceramicist who actually put together the vase for the Mother's Day floral arrangement. And make sure that you make all your orders. They have to be local, by the way, so Texas only, by May 5th. And again, one more time, I cannot thank you enough, Christina Ellman of the May Agency. I am so particularly grateful to you for reaching out to me. I know you gave me a bunch of lovely different pitches, but as I said, Audrey was just absolutely wonderful. I want to remind everybody that I'm back on air tomorrow. Amy Fest, who is CEO of Shoes That Fit, California-based, so I'm very curious to see how things are going in your neck of the woods and what she is doing to help people with her nonprofit organization. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen in today. I'm going to reiterate the sentiments that I started with at the beginning of this show. I cannot impress enough, especially after the news that I posted yesterday, in one day, the significant number of suicides, overdoses. There are things going on in this world right now that are nothing short of scary and sensationalized. It's so very important to reach out and tell people that you care about them. Take the 5 seconds to put extra initiative and work, time, and emotion into everyone that you know, especially the people that are important to you, because just the things that I am witnessing are just heartbreaking. I was very public and vocal about that. There was a child who ended her life the same age as my own son. I can't tell you how much more close to home it gets than that. So make sure you make a diligent effort to check on people, give them a call, show up, do what you need to do, especially the elderly, people at home, etc. Once again, thanks so much to everyone who is sending me condolences and kindness and very sweet, positive words about my son's grandmother. It is more appreciated than you know. I will be sure to pass those sentiments along to him. And lastly, I guess I should finish in case he didn't see it. But my very first show back is dedicated, of course, to my partner. It's always very important to me that I do work that's above and beyond, but he has really been a trooper and a warrior, and he's been my best friend, and he's keeping me up and keeping me going. So this one was for you, my dear. So I hope you all get an opportunity to give me some feedback on what you thought of my job today. I hope I did well. I hope I did everyone proper justice. And, again, tomorrow, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time, Amy Fest. I'll be sure to put the information on my social media page as well as on the Sims Chat Corner page. You guys enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.